I met Dylan 4 years ago at a bar in Key Largo. He had that reckless salt air energy, sunburned skin, permanent sunglasses, and the kind of grin that made you think he'd nearly died recently and kind of liked it. We bonded over rum and scuba gear. He told me he used to be a commercial diver, but quit after something down there looked back. I laughed, assuming it was a shark or maybe nitrogen narcosis playing tricks on him. He didn't laugh back. "You ever dive past 200 feet?" he asked. I shook my head. "Not without a line and 3 backups." He leaned in close. "I went to 360. Solo. Gulf of Mexico. And I swear, I saw a breathing wall." It was the kind of story you store away. Later, when I joined him on weekend dives for fun, he never brought it up again. Until the day he disappeared. Dylan had been obsessing over a new site for months. It was a seafloor drop-off off the coast of Dry Tortugas, an unmarked trench he claimed wasn't on any official sonar map. He called it the hole. "Straight down," he said. Like the Earth tried to inhale and forgot how. He wanted to dive it. Alone, of course. I told him it was a bad idea. Unmapped territory meant unpredictable thermoclines, rogue currents, even the risk of cave collapse. But Dylan didn't care. "I have to know what's down there," he said. "Something calls back." I agreed to go with him, but only as surface support. No diving past 200 feet. That was our deal. We set out at dawn on a Saturday. The water was flat as glass. The sun was brutal. Dylan wore his custom black wetsuit. No insignia, no bright colors, just matte black, like he wanted to disappear down there. We dropped anchor. The hole was real. The depth gauge plummeted. It read 60, 120, 200, and kept going. It maxed out at 1,500 feet. That was insane. Nothing that close to shore should be that deep. No seismic activity, no volcanic shelf. Just a black throat in the ocean floor. Dylan geared up. I triple-checked his lines, air mix, backups. He carried a helmet cam and a small sonar ping device that fed back to my laptop. I didn't like what I saw. The sonar didn't bounce back. It just vanished into the hole. "Something's eating the signal," I said. Dylan grinned. "Good. Maybe it's hungry for more." He jumped in. The first few minutes were uneventful. His breathing came through the radio, steady and slow. I watched his helmet cam feed. Blue, then darker blue, then nothing. The light from his headlamp couldn't even penetrate the thick black around him. 200 feet, I said. "Turn back now." "Negative," he replied. "It's opening wider down here. The walls are breathing." "I see." "Static." The signal froze. I tapped the console. "Dylan, come in." Silence. Then a sound. Not a voice. A slow, rhythmic huff huff huff, like lungs inhaling water, exhaling bubbles. It didn't match his breathing rate. I stood. Yelled into the headset. "Dylan, abort. Surface now." No response. Then his camera flickered on. Just for a moment. A frame. It was his face. But the mask was cracked. And behind him, something was pulsing. Something massive, smooth, the color of night. Something with slits that opened and closed. And it was breathing. Then the feed went black. I dropped the headset. I stared at the empty ocean, realizing I couldn't see his trail of bubbles anymore. Dylan was gone. He never resurfaced. Coast Guard ran sonar scans for days. Nothing. No debris. No body. Not even his tank. They called it technical failure. I called it a lie. Because a week later, I got an email. Subject: "I'm not dead." Message body: "Don't come looking. It's awake now. And it remembers you too." Attached was a single audio file. Just breathing. I listened to the audio file every night for a week. It wasn't just breathing. At first, yes, slow inhalations, like a diver on a closed-circuit rebreather. But then it changed. The pattern became purposeful, rhythmic, like something was mimicking human breath, but didn't quite understand the timing. There were no bubbles, no regulator hiss. Just that deep, tidal inhale and the wet, strained exhale. And something in the background. A tone. Low. Almost a hum, vibrating through my laptop speakers like a tuning fork inside my skull. I sent the file to a sound engineer I knew from my university days. He called me 2 days later. "Is this a joke?" "No. It's real. This isn't a human breathing. It's not even from a chest cavity. There's no diaphragm pressure. It's more like the compression of fluid. The sound a flooded cavern would make if it could breathe." I started having dreams. Not about Dylan. Not directly. I dreamed of the ocean floor, A massive expanse of undulating silt and coiling trenches that pulsed like lungs. I dreamed I was floating above it, weightless and terrified, unable to move as something slowly rose to meet me. Something big enough to eclipse the sun even down there. And always, just before waking, I'd hear the breath. Not in my ears. In my chest. As if I'd been the one breathing like that all along. I tried to let it go. People disappear in the ocean all the time. Sometimes they fall asleep on their descent. Sometimes they have an embolism and go unconscious before the surface. Sometimes they make it back, just not the way they went in. But then Dylan's dive gear showed up on my doorstep. Neatly packed, dry, untouched by salt or sun. His wetsuit was folded. The mask was whole. Even the tank was full. But the helmet cam, still attached, had a blinking red light. Low battery. I took it to a tech friend who specialized in salvaged underwater footage. He pulled the data and handed me a portable drive without a word. I didn't open it for 2 days. The video began where the last feed ended. Darkness. A flicker of light bounced around in the void as Dylan adjusted the headlamp. His breathing was calm, steady. He spoke aloud, even though I couldn't hear his words over the sound distortion. Then the trench widened. The walls curved inward like a throat. The silt on the seafloor didn't settle. It pulsed, rising and falling in thick clouds that curled like smoke underwater. Dylan hovered in place. The camera rotated, showing a wall, a massive, seamless curve of dark gray flesh. No barnacles. No coral. Just smooth, ridged tissue. And then it opened. A slit. Long and vertical. Wet and trembling like an eyelid waking up. It didn't look at him. It looked through him. Dylan whispered something. The camera shook. Another slit opened. And another. Until the entire trench wall shimmered with breathing apertures, inhaling the ocean, exhaling vapor trails that twisted toward him. One of them released something small. A shape. A bubble? No. It was a face. Dylan's face. Just drifting there. Expressionless. Eyes closed. Mouth slightly open, mimicking his own breath. The camera went wild. He started to rise fast. Then everything jerked. A blur. A tendril? A rope? It latched onto his leg, dragging him back toward the opening. He screamed. The video cut out. I fell out of my chair. My hands were shaking. Not from what I saw, but from what I felt. That same pressure in my chest. That same cold breath moving through me like I was no longer just watching. I was part of it now. I tried calling the Coast Guard again. Left messages. Sent the footage. No response. Then my email account was locked. Then my phone crashed. The next morning, there was a black SUV parked across the street. It didn't leave for 3 days. No one ever came to the door. And then, people around me started to disappear. First, Tony from the dive shop. He'd watched the video with me. He said it was fake. He laughed. He vanished the next night. Then Riley, my neighbor. She said she saw someone in a wetsuit walking out of the ocean at 3 a.m. She called the police. They found her shoes on the beach. That's it. Whatever Dylan had found down there, it wasn't staying down. It was breathing. And it was looking for air. I moved inland. Not far, just enough that I couldn't smell salt on the wind or hear gulls overhead. I sold my gear. Deleted my dive logs. Burned the wetsuit Dylan left on my porch. I even thought about changing my name. But none of it helped. Because I kept hearing it. At night. In my dreams. Sometimes through the walls. A faint, low inhale. Like an ocean trying to remember how to breathe through lungs it never had. I bought soundproof panels. White noise machines. Slept with a fan blasting against my head. But it always found a way in. And I swear, some nights, I wasn't the only one hearing it. It was around this time I started receiving packages. No sender. No return address. Just boxes left outside my door, wrapped in sea-dampened paper. The first one contained sand. Not beach sand, deep ocean silt, wet and black, clumping in the corners of the box. The second held a sealed jar of seawater. Inside floated a sliver of something pale and translucent, like cartilage or the inner curve of an ear. The third package was worse. Inside was a Polaroid. It showed a bedroom, my bedroom, but from an angle near the ceiling, like it was taken from above my bed. I was asleep in the photo. The timestamp was 3:19 a.m. Taped to the back. You breathe like him now. I finally called a marine biologist I'd met years ago, Dr. Emery Lake. She was fringe, specialized in oceanic acoustic anomalies and deep-sea megafauna theory. Most people called her a conspiracy nut, but I knew she'd listen. When I told her about the dive site and the trench, she went quiet. You found one. Found what? I asked. One of the inlets. Inlet to where? To whatever's beneath the ocean. I thought she meant tectonic plates, hydrothermal systems, magma flows. She didn't. There are myths, she said. In old sailors' maps. Places where the sea folds inward. Not trenches. Not caves. Mouths. Ancient ones. Not alive, not quite, but listening. Taking in what floats too close. Holding it. Learning. I told her about Dylan. About the breathing. The footage. She didn't even blink. You've been marked. By what? I don't think it has a name. She came to see me 3 days later. Brought old sonar scans, folklore notes, and a hard drive full of classified NOAA audio clip sheets stolen over the years. Some of the clips were almost identical to the breathing I'd heard. One stood out. It was recorded in 2009, off the coast of Chile. A deep, guttural respiration that lasted 23 seconds, followed by a high-frequency tone. The ship that recorded it, the Magdalena, sank a week later. All hands lost. The final log entry from the captain read, "It doesn't echo. It answers." Dr. Lake wanted to go back to the hole. "You have to face it," she said, "or it will keep coming for you. It doesn't want you dead. It wants you close." Dylan said the same thing, I replied. Right before he vanished. She nodded. Then he's probably still alive. Just not up here. I didn't agree right away. But that night, I had a dream. I was underwater, in complete darkness. But I wasn't drowning. I was breathing slow and calm, through something not mine. Gills, maybe. My body didn't feel like my body anymore. Something pulsed beneath me. Vast. Stretching in all directions. Then I saw Dylan. Not in front of me, but in me. Reflected in my eyes. Like I was a mirror for something that had worn his face. I woke up choking on seawater. Inland. Miles from the coast. Still gasping. There was sand in my mouth. The next morning, I called Dr. Lake. "I'll go back." She didn't sound surprised. But before we left, she warned me. "You need to understand. This thing, whatever it is, it doesn't feed on flesh. It feeds on identity. Names. Voices. The space a person used to fill. And if I go down there, you might not come back. But something will." We chartered a private vessel under fake names. No Coast Guard permits. No academic authorization. Just 2 passengers, a modified ROV, and the coordinates burned into my memory like a scar. The captain didn't ask questions. He was paid in advance and promised a bonus if he didn't talk. As we left the harbor, the sun seemed to dim. Not in the sky, but in my mind. Like the world was slowly bleeding color the closer we came. Dr. Lake stayed silent most of the trip, staring into the waves like she was counting breaths. I checked the gear obsessively. Backup cameras. Pressure sensors. An emergency ascent balloon. I didn't trust any of it. Not really. The last time, all our equipment lied. The sonar didn't pick up the trench until we were right over it. And then, nothing again. Just a pit that ate signals. We dropped the ROV first. The feed came through in short, distorted frames. The trench mouth hadn't changed. Still smooth. Still massive. Still impossibly wrong. Dr. Lake whispered something I barely caught. "It's wider now." At 1:04 p.m., I dove. I wore a new suit, reinforced tank, and a mask that broadcast live telemetry back to the boat. I carried no camera, no sonar, no tools. Just a beacon to trigger a haul-up rope if things went bad. The descent was fast. 10 feet. 50. 100. My ears popped. The water thickened. Shadows coiled like jellyfish above me. By the time I hit 200 feet, I felt watched. Not from one direction. From every direction. The breathing started again. Not through my headset inside me. Like my lungs had synced to something else's rhythm. I passed 260 feet. My headlamp cut through almost nothing. Then movement. Not fish. Not eels. Just shapes. Long, elegant, wrong. They drifted like muscle memory, too slow for predators, too fluid for prey. Something brushed my leg. I didn't look. I didn't breathe. At 300 feet, I saw the wall again. It was even bigger now, as if the trench had grown like a wound left untreated. The surface pulsed. Openings flickered, closed, reopened elsewhere. Not randomly, rhythmically. Breathing. Communicating. And then one opened near me. This time, something came out. Not a creature. Not a monster. A diver. Black suit. Full face mask. It hovered inches from me, unmoving. I reached forward, my hand trembling. The figure mirrored it. I pulled back. It mirrored that too. I turned the light onto its mask and froze. It was me. Exactly me. Same mask. Same scratches. Same air bubbles rising from the same regulator. Except, it wasn't breathing right. Its chest expanded too far. Its lungs hissed as if full of fluid. Its eyes, my eyes, were too wide. Too still. Dr. Lake's voice crackled into my headset. Do not engage it. I couldn't speak. I blinked. It blinked later. Out of sync. Then another opened. Another diver. Also me. And then another. A ring of me's, floating like mannequins. All slowly turning to face me at once. Each one breathing like the whole. Each one mine. The trench pulsed again. Not in fear. In welcome. I was the breath now. The breach. The invitation. And something below accepted. The divers surged toward me. I hit the emergency beacon. Rope engaged. My tank hissed as the ascent kicked in. The imposters reached, fingers curling like barnacle-covered ropes, and missed me by inches. I rocketed upward. Pressure slammed my chest. My teeth rattled. Blood filled my mask. I screamed. The last thing I saw before blacking out was one of them mimicking the scream, mouth too wide, too slow, too late. I woke on the deck. Dr. Lake was standing over me, pale and shaking. She didn't speak. She just handed me the mask. There was a crack in the lens. From inside. And carved into the plastic, like it had been etched with coral or claw. You were already part of us. We didn't speak for hours after I surfaced. The captain turned the boat around without a word. He must have seen something on the sonar, or maybe in the waves themselves. His hand shook as he gripped the wheel, knuckles pale. He didn't even ask about the bonus. Dr. Lake sat across from me, staring at the mask. The crack was still there. So was the message. She tried to scan it with every tool she had: laser, UV, spectrum analysis. The material didn't register. It wasn't just unidentifiable. It wasn't there. She looked at me, voice quiet. You didn't come back alone. For the next few days, I tried to pretend I was still human. I walked the halls of my apartment, ate food that tasted like paper, watched old dive footage to remind myself what the surface looked like. But it was already changing. The breathing didn't stop. Even in daylight, I'd catch myself matching that rhythm again. I'd hold my breath, and something inside me would keep inhaling. I stopped seeing my reflection. Every mirror showed someone a second behind. Every window, every puddle, every screen, off. Lagging. Mimicking. I recorded myself sleeping. 3 nights in a row, I sat up at exactly 3:19 a.m. Eyes open. No memory. On the 4th night, I whispered something. The audio clipped. I boosted it. What I said wasn't in any language I knew, but it matched the hum from the first audio file. Dr. Lake vanished next. She was researching a similar event near the Mariana Trench. Sent me a message with a GPS pin and 2 words. It breathes. Then nothing. Her apartment was empty. Not abandoned, scrubbed. No signs of struggle. No dust. No scent. Just a folded wetsuit on her desk. And a note. You were right to come back. But you should have stayed. Now the breathing is everywhere. People on my street walk in rhythm. Their footsteps match the inhale. Their doors open with the exhale. Radios glitch on the same channel, playing static that hisses in and out like lungs. I've seen figures at night. Not just mine anymore. Other divers. Other masks. Other versions. They don't approach. They just wait. Like they're still underwater. Still waiting for the call. I tried to warn others. I posted the audio, the footage, the story. Some laughed. Some vanished. Some messaged me months later with one sentence. Do you still hear it too? So now I'm writing this, one last attempt before the pull becomes too strong. If you've been diving, especially in uncharted areas, check your reflections. If you've received a package with no return address, don't open it. And if you hear breathing that doesn't match your own, run. Because once it finds you, it never lets go. It doesn't want to hurt you. It wants to wear you. To practice being you. To learn how to move in your skin. To breathe your air. To rise, wearing your name, your voice, your smile. And when you look in the mirror, you'll still be there. But it will be breathing first,